Tim, tell us how we're going to make a buck out of it.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am an old man, and in my 76 years, somebody said, well, what are you really, Jim Blaze? I'm a librarian. Old people like Steve and I, a lot of the body parts don't work anymore. Fortunately, the brain, the hands, and the mouth do. We know where the skeletons are buried. We know how to go down into the stacks of our brain and our computer. We know how to find stuff that's been researched before, bring it forward, and hopefully give you a business case to think about, which Steve did just. So I'm an economist today, and I'm representing all rail technologies because some of their ideas are what I'm going to pass on to you. All the rail technology, where are they from? Well, they're out of Brazil, but they've established a secret headquarters here in Dallas. And their definition of autonomous that I'm going to use is slightly different, so it's an acceleration beyond the typical definition. Autonomous takes on these kinds of forms. And basically, I'm talking about automating the use of activity-based intelligence and statistics. Statistics from the GPS functions that are positive train control that Steve just talked about gives you. Providing intel direct to the customer. I thought this stuff was supposed to move trains, railroad people. No, the power of this in a marketing force is to get more customers, to tell the customers where their inventory, stuff that you ordered that happens to be coming on a train, where that stuff is. And then creating actionable and profitable decision making. That's another way the dictionary talks about autonomous. So, freight railroads could now provide two digital autonomous management results if they basically change the function of less on moving the trains and more on moving the inventory. And attaching this information directly digitally into the TMS systems of their customers. What is TMS? And the second thing they can do is the railroads basically work with the customers. Oh yeah, and 70% of the cars that we're talking about here, working with the customers to move cars faster. 70% of the cars, you do know, they're leased or owned by shippers, right? Not by the Class 1 railroads. Everything we can do here to change those two functions, and that's my major theme here in these few slides, basically creates economic value. Oops. All right, so what is a transportation management system? Well, there's a classic definition. There's actually four of them. There's transportation management systems, there's warehouse management systems, there's pool management systems. That's the stuff where the inventory gets processed just before it goes onto the retail store or gets delivered by e-commerce directly to your house. And that stuff is all in the digital age, in digital format, and guess what railroad data files are? They're mostly analog. Oops, they don't communicate easily, not unless you create the software functions to put them together. So part of the need in this age, using the GPS functionality that we're getting from positive train control, is to how to create this into the digital era messaging. And maybe now we're car 54. Now, raise your hand if you know what car 54 was. Just a few older librarians out there like myself, folks. Get that message out, not on a computer, not on a fax machine. How about messaging on an iPhone or your Android? The railroads aren't doing that yet. That would take all this precision schedule railroading financial input and change it from being Wall oriented, being customer centric. So that's the opportunity. Okay, so the other thing besides getting information directly into the management systems that our customers are using is to get more asset utilization out of the railroad car. We've already downsized the people. We've downsized the track. We downsized the number of Class 1 roads, I don't know, from 76 when I was a young man, Steve, is that about right? To, I don't know, 7. We've downsized fuel use. We've lengthened the train, so we've downsized the number of trains that are moved today. Just look at that. Everything is in the digital age. E-commerce is about moving more and more cargo faster and faster, more frequently, and the trains are getting bunched and running less per day. There's a disconnect there. So the next functionality is to basically use secret sauce. That's mathematics, algorithms, to essentially figure out how to get more asset utilization out of the cars that we have. I saw this slide at the Rail Finance meeting in La Quinta. There's, I don't know, 400 people that invest in equipment. And the slide said, holy Moses, look at that. 1.6 million cars, and a whole bunch of them aren't going to move at all today. Okay, moving a little more frequently, because that slide is data-based 2 years old. They're moving a little more frequently today than they were when the slide was created, because precision scheduled railroading is moving cars a little faster, but that's shocking. You know any trucking companies that could survive if they didn't move their fleet more often than this? It's amazing that we make so much money as railroaders, isn't it? I mean, we're not really very efficient. So, Danny Marone, are you in the audience? Can you stand up? Stand up, Danny. See, there's the guy with the secret sauce. He's going to tell you, if you're a private car leaser, how you're going to get more asset out of that car per year. You know, some cars run as little as 4 to 8 times a year. Yikes. The average box car maybe moves 12 to 18. You know, we've got to juice this up as an output, a delivery from precision scheduled railroading to maybe 18 to 20. Then we know precision scheduled railroading is really working for the customer, not the railroad. So Danny's secret sauce and those of his, what I would call data scientists, that's what people do, do all kind of mathematics stuff. They're basically figuring out how to get more churn out of the empty cars. More churn by improving the cycle. And why is that important? I don't know, can you move to the next slide? Because this clicker has stopped working. I can't move that. Okay, it's all about cash generation. Thank you very much. It's all about cash generation. If you take away all the umbrella that's hiding this precision scheduled railroading, it all comes down to this. How much free cash flow can a railroad, Class 1 railroad, generate here? That's the mathematics, that's the accounting. And essentially, if you can churn your empty cars by moving them with more goods per year, oh my goodness, you'll generate more cash. It'll fall back to the bottom line. And by the way, for every added move that you cover, you don't have to worry about covering the capital X of that, because it was already covered in the first 8 to 4 to 12 basic moves. This is the next frontier that somebody at one of the big 7 Class 1 railroads will happily be reporting sometime in the near future, hopefully the near future, to Wall Street. Why wait? You can be doing this now, and Danny and Alta Rail basically have some formulas that show the railroad how they can do this. You as a private fleet owner can do this. So there's an upside here. The railroads do report, the average dwell and the, speed across the system. This is all giving, benefits to their customer. No, it isn't. If you read one of my railway age or freight weight columns from about 6 months ago, I identified precisely how you would do the mathematical simple calculation to see how you were getting more churns on your assets, your railcar assets. And I said, any one of 4 parties can make this calculation and deliver it from the highest parapet as to basically a success story. You know how many people, or how many railroads or car owners have done this in the 6 months? I gave them the little formula and about 1 page of writing. Can you say 0? Why is that? I don't understand. This is all about science. It should be there. If it's working for the customer's benefit, it should be easily identified. Summary. All right. So you need to take the private high-band communication system that Positive Control, as you described, has delivered to the railroad. They now have a huge positive communication system that's private that can move all this information that they're collecting from the GPS units and the PTS devices and their locomotives, do database matching, and send this information to you and me on cell phones that basically says, like my Amazon email, your 89-foot freight car is no longer lost. Think of it, 89-foot freight car. And it will be delivering your product to your siding at about 3 p.m. this afternoon. When that's happening, then the railroads, we know railroads are basically one giant step forward to be gaining market share. And then basically you got to increase the car loadings per year. How long is this going to take? Tick, tick, tick. You get the point. It's probably taking a lot longer than it should. Remember, truckers, we're chasing truckers. I'm a railroad guy. I want the railroads to see. We're chasing truckers. They have 10%. We have 10% of the market share or less, depending on the lane, in terms of revenue bill and tonnage. We are still chasing the trucker. That share has been diminishing my entire 45-year career since I joined the railroad industry. I'm optimistic that if the railroads reach out, they can buy this kind of capability. They don't have to try to reinvent it with their own people inside, stumble and bubble along for another 3 to 5 years. They can go and make this change quite quickly. So that's my upside message. I don't mean to be negative, but my generation didn't get this done, and we were very close, 4 railroads, including Conrail, of inventing these kinds of technologies in 1992 to 1994, and then we gave up on it. We had to close the shop. And the generation that followed me didn't get the job done. Well, whoever you are, it's your generation, you're up. You need to make not only lemonade out of the lemons that GPS and PTE gave you. Now, you need to make Arnold Palmers. Better yet, become Italian. How about limoncello? All right? Now, I want to know what railroad is going to stand up first to announce that they're doing all these things. And I'd like them to be speaker next year instead of me. Thank you very much. You all be safe.